And then all the recordings has started. Yes. Can you say something for the quick sync?
Something.
Yeah. Your ums and ahs are enough. So a mute on that. Hey, why's my mic not picking up? Do I need to? Well, this is sync test enough. All right, sync test done. That will be clear enough. Yeah, so we can start whenever.
Alright. Take a sip of water, lubricate my throat properly. Gotta stay lubed up, boys. Alright then. 3, 2, 1. Hello there, and welcome to Pause on Point. We are not doing a pause on point. I fucked up. I fucked up already. We're keeping this in the video though, so everyone knows why I'm not the one who starts, things. Welcome back to Critical Critique. We're not doing a Pause on Point episode now. We are doing what I assume counts as a background noise episode.
It's a very thing you put on the background, unless you want to see my paint skills.
Oh, his wonderful kindergarten garden doodles. It's very on brand.
For the channel and the subject.
Yeah. So how do we introduce this? Because you're the one who found this, Ellie.
I'm not the one who found it per se, but somebody else told me, and then I told you. So I'm the super spreader event on this server, in this group of people. So yeah.
Yeah, it's your fault.
Yeah, it's my fault. I know. So what we're going to talk about is a book. This is going to be a fancy book club, but it's going to be about a genre. Well, it's highbrow, like book clubs most of the time.
As fancy as the type of reading material we're going to be covering is going to be is going to get.
Yeah. So the thing we're going to talk about is LitRPGs. LitRPGs are a genre, a collection of works that have a emphasis on game-like RPG mechanics, integral to the book, to the fiction that it has. So think stats, lots of stats. Think character details, skills, HPs, MP, level ups, all that stuff. That's all very important to LitRPG. And what interested me in LitRPG is that it's completely amateur. There isn't a shred of profession.
It's also it's all self-published stuff on Amazon. You can look this up. You can buy it yourself. You can support this budding new genre that takes no influences from anything whatsoever, and is entirely original and isn't cashing off of anything.
Well, the thing is, it does have a little bit of history. And I said there's no professionalism. There is a little bit professionalism, but it's only in Russia. But to continue, LitRPG, you could in LitRPG. Well, let's do that again. Like I said, LitRPG stats based, and it draws a lot of influences on video games. And in that sense, it's very similar to stuff like Sword Art Online, that also is very game-based. Most isekai works are game-based, from the good old Slime with skills, or Hamefura, which is dating sims, otome games. lit RPGs though are also then very Western games based with Western skills, MMOs, and that kind of stuff. And it has to start
Yeah,
somewhere 10 years ago, on and about. And
yeah. The oldest works I saw were like roughly 10 years ago.
and the and it's of course it has a massive boom when they discovered that the Japanese side exists, and they draw also heavy influences of on that thing on that side. Yeah, so it's kind of I'm looking up as we speak. It started in 2013 as a concept, real thing with a name.
Yeah, that was roughly around the time that Sword Art Online aired, right?
Yeah.
Like, when did that air? Like 2012, 2013?
So what I found is that also that a lot of authors draw a lot of inspiration of Sword Art Online and very much hone in on the game aspect,
Mm-hmm.
more so than others. So that's a little jumbled history of lit RPG itself.
Yeah, we're kind of bastardizing it, and
Yeah, and
you know, if it,
we're not even doing it justice, I think, because
yeah, I mean, okay, it's this is kind of a dunk, but at the same time, like, I don't particularly hate the fact that there's a community around this or anything. I'm glad that they found their own thing to do and they're all happy with that. So I'm not shitting in their corner, but it's very amusing.
yep. And I audio booked a book, or I audio booked a lit RPG book, and Lily read the same book, so we have the same book but also a different experience of it. Might be fun.
Yeah,
And that book is called, let me get my pencil again. Life
it is.
Resets. Oh, I misspelled it
Yep.
already.
Life Reset by Shamir Kuznets. I'll let you spell that out on screen.
I want Shamir Kuznits. Perfect.
I can't see what he drew, but I suspect that he's actually drew something, relevant to what we're saying. He's not just calling me an asshole in paint. Um, but yeah, no, it's
Don't worry.
volume one in like a multi-volume series called New Era Online or something
Yeah,
like that.
it's
Yeah,
it's a new era online, which we don't need to mention where the name comes from.
yeah. That's the name of the game, and they're just like in Sword Art Online. The name of the game, the first part was Sword Art Online. Um, this is kind of an interesting one because when I picked this up, I'm not nearly as experienced as Ellie is when it comes to reading isekai light novels. And Ellie kind of pitched it as like a jumble of like different types or different concepts from different light novel series.
Yeah, web novels and manga and the things that come from it. So
Oh,
let's delve into this book in particular. So the premise is that you have basically master gamer. I have difficulty describing the main character anything other than master gamer. And he is,
he said a lot of N words in the past.
well, that's redacted from the books, of course.
That's redacted, which is why it's not true for life.
Indeed. But he is the king of his fancy new era online book, not book, of the game. He is top of the he has is the leader of the number one guild he has a big fancy office, and he's getting rich playing the game until one fateful day, his longtime friend, his trusted lieutenant, comes in and has a box with loot in it from the last raid and says, "Hey, I have something for you." And he goes from, "Oh yeah, what is it?" And he says, "It's a thing that will kickstart this book." What? And then suddenly, everything is gone. He's it's terrible. It's terrible. He is transported and all the way over here, and now he is a short, stupid, nosed goblin.
You know, he gets pissed because the main character. One of the things I should mention about the main character is he is stated to have anger problems and has to kind of meditate to calm down. So he's kind of pissed because not only did this guy just kind of steal a clan from him, because like there's a weird like real money currency trade. Like he is it? He lost like a $10,000 a month paycheck. So, you know, this is like losing your Patreon account when you're big. Like you go to war over this.
Yeah. So
So
instead of, I don't know, reporting the evil guy for changing him into a goblin, because apparently the main character is an ass and nobody respects him.
which isn't really illustrated too well. Like he's like you're told that, you know, maybe he didn't listen to people enough by the people who like betray him. You never really actually see it.
Yeah, but I believe it.
Oh yeah, no, I absolutely do believe it.
So we have the good guy here enacting judgment on the main character, and he gets really angry about that. And instead of wrong thingy, instead of, I don't know, contacting like a service support or the police for, or a lawyer for stealing his income, his livelihood, his whatever contract reach, because you're not supposed to be a monster in this game. You can only be humanoids, and goblins are not humanoids. They're small. They're small sized.
Yeah. Uh, the reason why he ends up like turning into a goblin is like he gets like some sort of like item, like a scroll off of this like tier 9 or whatever boss or whatever,
Yeah,
like tier 8, tier 9, something like
yeah.
that.
I described it just as
And
here's the thing that kickstarts this book, and
yeah. And this thing was like a debug item that like the developers left in as a joke, but then like there's a bunch of it's a very dangerous joke as you find out later. Spoiler alert when we say this borrows a lot from Sword Art Online. That's becomes apparent like what was it, about 30 pages in
yeah.
when that happens.
So,
So
well, just let's build up the world a little bit more. This Era Online game.
yeah.
The book also starts with a quote from a developer or something, which says that Guy is God. Guy, is he? Is it actually spelled as Guy as a guy?
It is GAI, but everyone pronounces it G or spells it GYI. Like it's Guy because it's game artificial. Let me pull it up right here. Uh, it's like yeah, okay. The game is governed by the Game Artificial Intelligent, or GAI for short. So it'd be GAI, but they pronounce it GUI or spell it that way at the very least.
All right.
Um,
So this game is governed by a super duper AI which does everything, and the developers do very little. There are no whoever made does this game has nothing to do. Whoever runs this game has nothing to do. It's just like, oh,
Yeah, they just made Guy, and then they just sit around, I don't know, wanking off and like occasionally like intervening when. Well, no, they don't even really intervene because this AI, this God AI they make can alter itself and reconstruct itself, but they still have developers and programmers in this world, even though that makes no sense if you have self editing AI.
yep. So, and the where what this amazing AI is being used for, not for I don't know, solving all the world problems or whatever. It's a game. So, and this big computer AI runs the game, and from that everything flows. This game is a big simulation, but has all these game-like mechanics. Level up. It has skills like plus two. I don't know, fire, wood cutting, mining.
It invents skills based off of context, because when you perform an action in the game, Guy can decide just to make a new skill based off of the very specific thing you've been grinding away at for the next few hours. So in theory, there's a blowjob skill, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, in theory, there's every imaginable skill from tripping. If you would trip a lot in this game, you would gain the skill tripping, which I assume makes your character in the game trip like over every rock eventually, which is
That would be horrible. Case in point, the game can also the game also awards people these things called prime skills, right?
yeah,
When you're the first one to discover or invent a skill, and this allows you to, what was it, increase it, you gain the skill level at a 50% boosted increase,
yeah,
and then you can impart that skill onto another person and give them a increase. And with normal skills, this isn't like a problem because everybody can pick up an axe and just chop away at a tree if they get wood cutting, right?
yeah,
But when it comes to magic, because of how abstract magic is in the system, it's harder to discover a new type of magic. And the main character, being the main character, has discovered this his own specific magic, mana manipulation, his own specific discipline of magic, and he's the best at casting it, and he's imparted it onto everybody, and that's how he makes his money, because he charges people for classes.
yeah,
And that's also how he established his guild, the Monopolators.
yeah.
It's a pun, you see.
it's a dumb name, but yeah,
Wanted to punch the character when I heard that.
that happens more often. So yeah, this kind of how the game works, and there are of course skills, and you can be a trader or whatever, a fighter, a woodcutter for as a job in the game, and so it goes on. And the game is a simulation, and it does all these things that you can pick up a rock and place it on another rock until you have a mountain, and you can get the builder skills, hammer a tree until it turns into a house. And you can do both things. So yeah, let's just mention it, Lolly. The game, in the story, this game
Doesn't make sense. It's not consistent.
it is also it's like I said, you can either just bang a tree until it produces a house, or you can place rocks until it is a house. Collect rocks, place it
Yeah,
near.
so when you're looking at it initially, you're thinking to yourself, "Oh, this is just like RuneScape. I just perform the repetitive action and I get the reward for it." But the book can't really seem to decide if it wants to be more simulationist and that it wants you to do very specific a specific order to build or train things, or if it wants to be more abstract and you can't just, punch the side of a mountain until you're really good at punching.
Yeah, and this trend continues into many other aspects where it has both combat in you can stab somebody through the heart and kill him instantly, or you can hack at its leg until its hit points drop to 0. Knife. Where's the stabby thing? I'll make it a knife.
Knife? Oh, yeah, you're drawing the knife
Yeah.
right now. Man, if my connection wasn't shit, you could stream this and I could watch it, but like my connection again is shit, so I can't stream things. Thanks, AT&T.
Yeah, good old monopolies.
Everybody send hate mail to AT&T.
Hey, we don't condone hate mail on this venerable channel.
Hey, as a collective we don't, but I personally do.
Personal responsibility.
And just like that, AT&T is going to just cut my connection right here, and it's all gonna be over.
Yeah, so let's go back to our we explain our little problem with the world already. Let's come back to our goblin friend, who is very, very angry. And unfortunately he's not alone, Lolly. He has goblin friends.
Well, he gets he gets spawned at the goblin location in an area called the Deadlands, and here's another thing about the world: the world continuously expands, based off of player locations that are discovered, right? And NPC backgrounds are filled, like important NPC backgrounds are filled in by Guy. It's a self-replicating thing. As we said before, and so he gets spawned in this goblin cave. Was it the Drippers clan or something like that? Yeah,
Drippers, I believe.
Yeah, and first he's not technically part of the clan, and he has to kind of prove himself, but then he quickly becomes their spiritual leader, the totem of their clan.
Well, just let's mention that he needs to have 10 plus relationship, or he needs to build his relationship via quests. And this is one other thing that makes this very LitRPG, in that you need to build up relationship points by fulfilling quests.
Yeah.
So he built
and
let's. So he becomes a goblin, and he is very, very, very angry. How dare they? I will have my vengeance. I'll kill them all. And then he goes, should I just delete this character? No, I don't wanna. I don't wanna delete my character. I'll just be a goblin. I hate it. And then he logs out.
Well, that's the thing. He simultaneously hates it, but at the same time he's like, oh cool, I get to play this game in this completely unintended way. So, he's ambivalent about it, really.
Yeah.
So, he logs out, though.
He logs out. He logs out. Everything is fine.
Gets out of his VR pod, then with the, the gamer goop that, surrounds you in the VR pod.
Was there? I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, they mentioned that there's this type of gel that this gel semi-liquid gel bed you have to get in, which sounds really gross, and then you have to put a bunch of probes on you. The liquid gel kind of moves your body, so you don't have
it's just a water
muscle atrophy.
It's just a water bed, but a fancy one in this world.
It's a gamer water bed.
Yeah.
It's the gamer goop bed.
But he gets...
I'm referring to it as goop.
He gets out, and everything is fine. He goes to a restaurant. He has and he's going to and he has a call with his friend.
Okay, first I just want to put this out here, right? Him going to a restaurant makes kind of no sense because, like, okay, his first when he the moment he gets out of out of bed, he eats an energy bar, and then he mentions, oh, I don't tend to like eat anything particularly fancy in the real world because in the game the food's a lot better. But then like he goes to this restaurant that he just happens to frequent like on the regular.
Yeah,
Oh no.
and
I think
hmm? I'm here.
oh, okay. No, one of my Discord chats just kind of like pinged off for a moment, so
Oh, distractions.
the Discord's having its problems again.
Oh no. Uh,
Sounds about right.
yeah. So, but he mentions how food sucks, and then has a food, and then goes to a restaurant, and at the restaurant or just coming back from the restaurant, he calls up his friend, who is a developer or a janitor at the game he's playing. He's
Yeah.
a and he tells of course his friend like, "Yo, I'm a goblin. That sucks, you dude." And then the friend goes, "Oh, dude, you shouldn't
Yeah.
do that,
He
dude."
says bro. No, he does say dude. He says bro a lot. Like, yo, bro, you shouldn't do this a lot. By the way, his game is like his friend just happens to be the lead developer of this game, and he's like, I don't know, man, but you shouldn't go back in. You should just make a new character. We can't help you out, bro. Just delete it. This thing ain't supposed to like exist, you know. But you think like, okay, so this item isn't supposed to exist, and this effect isn't supposed to exist, right? The transfiguration. You think that he would have just went to his friend, and the friend's like, I'll contact management, we'll revert the changes, and we'll either warn or ban the player who used this. Thank you for spotting one of the scrolls that shouldn't be in the game world.
Yeah, but instead the main character says, "Dude, I'm a goblin. That sucks." And the friend goes, "Dude, you shouldn't be a goblin, dude. That's terrible, guy. That's terrible, bro. Why is it terrible, dude?" "Well, I shouldn't tell you, but here's the reason. It's
Now, I shouldn't tell you, but here's the reason.
well, dude. Well, I shouldn't say dude. Well, bro, that sounds terrible. But why, Lolly? Why? You're not allowed to tell me, but
I'm not allowed to tell you
but just tell
why,
me. Just
but
tell me.
here's the reasons
Ah,
why.
thank you.
Yeah, but here's the reasons why. You know, we fucked up in game development, and like we made this scroll as a joke, and haha, funny joke. We turned somebody into another species, but then like I don't know. I guess somebody accidentally put the scroll in the game as a patch, and now because they made the incredible decision of having all of the development be relegated without condition to this one AI in this game that, and we're gonna get into this in this game that has is directly connected to people's brains, and like certain levels of connectivity can have an adverse effect. We're just gonna hand this all over to them, and like now this guy that now guy not this guy just isn't going to let us take the item out like any other game. It's quantum computers, bro. I don't gotta explain shit.
And then he leaves with the message, "Just delete your character, dude. I'll boost you and kill the guy who did this to you together, because I'm a developer and this is not completely unethical or goes against any codes. I shouldn't be telling you this, but I will just favor you because I know you and kill this character, or even though that doesn't really do anything in the game. Because who cares? Why even suggest killing the guy in the game? What does it solve?
Nothing but his own, personal vengeance. Well, that's the thing about the main character. The main character is really petty.
Yeah, he is. He's very goblin-like. It fits him. But let's go into the CCP, the communist. Oh, never mind.
The communist, the Chinese Communist Party. Yes,
Yeah,
let us go into the Chinese Communist Party and how the main character has like 40% Chinese Communist points. Oh no, they're not called Chinese Communist points. It's something like what connectivity something percentage.
yeah, it's
What was it cerebral connectivity percentage? I think.
Yeah, the thing is, so when you're playing the game, your brain is connected to the game, and the game reads from your brain. All right, that's okay. And the thing is that your brain has a level of nerves that can interface with devices. Like, not all your brain can just be connected and be useful. Can be not all your nerves can be read out by the computer. That's basically it.
Yeah. For normal people, they'll normally only access like 5 to 10% of like your brain, right?
Yeah.
But with the main character, it accesses 40%, and there was a case in the past where a autistic child had over 100% Chinese communist points inside his body, and like briefly became stuck in the world, and then had to be forcibly logged out, and then now he just wants to go back in because he needs the connectivity again.
Yeah, which is basically creating an instant addiction, apparently. Nothing.
It's not fair, gamers. He
No,
just
it's
wants to
not.
go back in.
It's not fair, dude. But so you're normally about 5%, and that's enough to play the game. And if I remember correctly, if you have 7%, then you're basically god tier. That's amazing. If I get my percentages right. But our main character, he's special. How much percent would you need to, if 7 is god tier, how much percentage more do you need to be super god tier main character level?
I 40% considering how amazing the main character is. By the way, I pointed this out, to Ellie at some point when we were talking about this the other day. But like, okay, so autism makes you really good at this game apparently, and it allows you to get 100% connectivity with the connection system. Main character has 40% connectivity. Main character is probably on the spectrum. Like, if that would be my first thought. Wait. Are you saying I have autism right now? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. Um, Spoilers. Lolly didn't read the entire book, but it's fine. He's
I got through like most of it, but like I got to the middle part, where they're building up the whole goblin village and everything, and my brain just like I actually had to like kind of sit and not read for a moment because like it was so dull. My brain was like developing fatigue. I apparently did not have the 40% necessary to
not
to read
even the
this.
100%. But
I
there are other characters that become monster characters that appear normal. They're they're just super smart.
yeah.
They're like super fancy uh in brain algebraic calculus smart. So yeah,
We didn't
if you
mention
have
that
a
this
high
man's
connectivity,
cloak
you're
is
super
a.
duper smart. But those the two other players who joined in the game aren't as smart or aren't as super connective as our main character. So our main character is super duper smart,
Yeah, he's
which is
special.
evidenced and shown in great detail in this adventure. Shall we go back into what happens after he gets told that it's super duper dangerous and you shouldn't do it at all? Just delete your character,
Oh,
bro.
he just logs back in
Dude,
as a goblin. Yeah, he
I'll
logs back
help you,
in as a
bro.
goblin in his. Yeah,
I'll
he
abuse
logs back
my
in as a goblin.
position as a developer in this game to enact your revenge.
Yeah, no, that's really cool and all, but I'm just gonna log back into the game and get my vicarious petty revenge
Lolly,
this way. You can't hear me? Hello? Can you hear me? Oh no.
I will cut this little bit out.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Lolly,
Oh no.
are you there?
I'm scared.
It's me. Hmm. Hey.
Oh, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yeah. So
Oh, okay, good. That was scary for a moment.
yeah, that was
Sorry.
good. Where did I leave you?
Oh, well, we left to the point where it was like, oh, after he's told, dude, this is super dangerous, guess what he decides to do?
All right. Yeah.
Fuck you, I'm logging back in.
All right. So that's so.
I need my I need my petty revenge on for the stupid guild I was a part of because this is my life. I cannot make money any other way. I am screwed. I have no other skills despite the fact that I used to work as an algorithm developer, and my friend here is in a game company who could probably land me a job because I have experience doing like development and stuff like that. And I could probably get my
Super
vicarious
easy.
revenge that way when you think about it.
Yeah, he could just nerf all his stuff or something.
Yeah. Yeah, he could just get a job at this company and then ban the player who did that to him and tell him to fuck off.
The ultimate revenge. But he doesn't.
Yeah.
He logs back in. All these warnings, all this whatever, deleted. Oh, I missed a little bit.
Yeah.
Deleted. It's goblin time.
And for a bit, he does the goblin thing really well. And then he kills he overthrows the totem and becomes the new totem, and then oh no, he's stuck in the game now. He can't log
Yeah,
out.
he can't log out. This is terrible news. Why doesn't work? No, should work. No. Yeah, successful paint magic. 9,000 hours. So he can't log out. What a terrible surprise. How could you figure out that this would happen?
Hey, it's not like my friend just gave me a warning about this or anything.
Yeah.
Nah.
Nah. So he can't log out. So Oh yeah, and he's also warned of one other thing. The time dilation thing.
Oh yeah, the thing that makes the whole being the goblin thing not nearly as bad. Right. So enemies in this game, in order to prevent an Ultima Online situation where they accidentally kill all of this specific type of thing, they all exist with an accelerated sense of time, 12 times that of a normal human player. So a 20 minutes as a goblin is like, or was it 2 hours as a goblin is like what, 20 minutes in real life or something like that.
Yeah, whatever. It's faster. That's the point.
Yeah. And his brain connectivity allows him to perceive this. This is why people below a certain threshold can't do anything with this type of connectivity. Yeah, no. So he's just fucking around or whatever, and he encounters his erstwhile companion on this journey. Erstwhile, yeah, I think that's how you would say it. It would be Vi or Vic.
Well,
he
first he meets a goblin that is basically just cooks food.
Oh yeah, Gooba,
Uh,
the lunch lady.
He meets lunch lady, and she's very, meh, I hate you. Do this thing for me. Meh.
She has the specific lunch lady kind of tsundere going on.
And there is another character, although it pains me to say, it's the huntress Tika.
Her personality is being a girl.
And nothing else.
And nothing else. She isn't remotely goblin-like, so she isn't like, a girl but also kind of a goblin. She's just Disney princess. It's like dating Pocahontas. Also, this is the love interest because, of course, the main character, kind of low key digs the 1 meter tall, little midget girl.
Yeah. So these are the characters that he meets as a goblin in his goblin. By this point, yeah, he's totem now. He has a fancy hat, and now keep switching to the thing. He's still angry. He's still very angry though. He's always very angry. But yeah,
But despite all of his rage, he is unfortunately a rat stuck in a cage. The cage being the goblin body, and let's see what who else does he meet in the cave? He meets Beck, the little the backstabber who later becomes like a fairly competent wizard person.
Yeah.
And then a few other people that don't really have personalities. I think of all the people there, Gooba and Beck are the only people who develop anything resembling a personality. And more importantly, though, he meets his erstwhile companion there while he's stuck. Vi or Vic.
Shall we?
Why don't you tell us about Vic?
Well, why don't you explain what a VI is?
Alright, so a VI, or a virtual intelligence, in this universe is a kind of a miniature fork of the game AI's or guy's personality. Kind of like a child, but not really. He's just imparting a bit of his essence into something, and these virtual intelligences control the major NPCs in the game. Now, Vic here was the one that controlled Durder, which was the totem goblin that the main character ends up dethroning and taking the place of. And when he takes the place of it, and Guy assigns
Lolly,
the main character.
Small detail. You got a small detail wrong.
I
The
did.
VI was supposed to take the body of the main character, Goblin, but it was already filled.
Ah, okay. So he was stuck without a body,
Yeah,
and
so the point is, main character, Goblin body, a VI so was supposed to go in there, but couldn't because there was a person in there.
an alleged person, and we'll get into the main
Yeah.
character's lack of characterization and why Vic should have been the main character. But yeah, no. Vic tells them about his situation, the shit he's in, and how he might be able to like get out of this situation, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, Ellie.
yeah, I'm still here. I'm also drawing.
Uh,
It's a very
Oh,
very
oh,
intensive.
oh, okay. I'll continue then. Vic tells them how he can get out of this situation, or he also tells them, yeah, no, I'll help you and everything, but I need you to like kill a few people for me. One thing you'll learn about Vic as you read this, if you ever decide to read this, why would you? Is that Vic has daddy issues, like a lot, and that kind of drives his character. Now, here's kind of the thing, right? Vic is really petty like the main character, and you think they would be like really good together. And like there's like kind of hints like where they could actually have, worked off of one another, but the problem is that it's more just kind of Vic working off of himself because the main character again does not have a personality. He's just protagonist. .txt.
Yeah,
Sometimes
so Vic is also of course named by the main character as a name for virtual intelligence, and that add a C at the end, and it becomes Vic, which is very annoying because the little main mage character is called Vrick, which kind of confuses me when I was listening to it because Vic, Vrick.
yeah. What wasn't Vrick the no? The Vrick wasn't the builder because the builder was the Hobgoblin they get later.
Yeah,
Fuck.
Vrick is the mage character. Zuban.
No, that was Beck.
Beck?
No, Beck was the one that was the mage. Yeah, Beck was the mage character.
Wasn't I?
Vrick was Vrick was like wasn't he one of the warriors?
Oh
Yeah, no,
yeah, he
Vrick was
was
one
the
of the warriors.
warriors. I forgot about
The
him.
fact that you forgot about him, another problem, by the way.
He has a shield. That's his one defining character trait. He has a shield.
Yeah.
So you
Um.
have Vic, Brick, and Vic. Or Brack.
Brack. Yeah. And yeah, no. So a bunch of shit happens. Was it the Goblin Nest he starts trying to like build a rapport with ends up getting raided by hobgoblins. He ends up kind of signing a Faustian pact with the company's attorney to not sue on his way out. Um, the company's attorney's personality being bad man in a business suit that I'm unnecessarily hostile against.
Yeah, I don't like how it's portrayed ridiculously cartoony. How this lawyer character is being shown off. He's he's evil for the sake of evil, and he doesn't.
But he doesn't really do anything that bad. He just basically lays out the, all right, dude, you're stuck in the game, but at the same time, you kind of broke the TOS, but we're not going to just completely ditch your ass. But at the same time, it's going to cost a lot of money, so we want you to try to see if you can't get yourself out of the situation first. Well, like, he's very matter of fact. He isn't particularly, a dickbag. He's a lawyer.
But he's fake lawyer. He's a lawyer written by somebody who never saw a lawyer ever.
Yeah, he's a lawyer by a person who constantly jokes that, Satan is looking for an attorney. He turns around and like a million hands are raised.
Yeah, so the goblins are raiding, and he suddenly gets transported away to have a long talk with the lawyer while the goblins are raiding. And then,
No, while the goblins are being raided by hobgoblins. Get
oh
it
yes,
right.
sorry. It's all the same. They're all stupid and green. So
But hobgoblins are larger.
yeah, so hobgoblins are raiding. I'll just draw it. It helps focus my mind. So big, I'll figure line. These big goblins are attacking spear shield, are attacking goblins, and main character stopped one group, but another group got to the camp and is basically they're they're about to just attack the village, the camp, but our main character gets spirited away just before it happens to talk with the lawyer in his goblin form. So all this talk about the character things get whoosh away. And here's our first major inconsistency forgotten plot elements. He has a talk with the lawyer. He gets screwed over by the lawyer. Whatever. It's fake lawyer thing. Then he has a talk with his friend. With Brute though. With Bro Dude. Bro.
Yeah. Bro.
Bro.
Yeah, bro, it's awful, man. The guy just agreed to settle this for like $250,000 on top of my normal 10,000 a month. I am making objectively more money in the next, few weeks of my life while I'm trapped in this game than I would have normally. How could they do this to me? How could this happen to me?
But dude, bro, you've been ripped off. There was never any danger at all. You should have said no, dude.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been fired. He threatened you. By the way, that's a really shitty negotiating tactic where, like, you threaten to fire the main character. You low key threaten to fire the main character's best friend, like, last. Like, you think that would have been the opening thing, and then he could have talked them into a settlement. But instead, he goes from, oh god, the negotiation is ridiculous. It's yeah, this is already going to cost us, several hundred million. People probably lost their jobs, during the transfer. All of this data storage was used in all of this. So, like, this is going to cost a lot of money, just to
Because
get this shit back online.
Because him becoming a goblin has has a lot of has had terrible effects on the game as a whole.
Yeah.
His
Basically,
his existence is fucking up the game.
yeah. His existence is the source of all the problems in this book. Let's be real.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So, like, guys, I guess when the main character has to when he spawns in, right, as a goblin, guy is like, okay, you spawned out in the middle of the Deadlands where nobody else has explored this far in the past. So I need to populate this entire area, spontaneously populate this entire area around here, and I need to write individual histories and intricate details.
It's dwarf fortressing it all on the fly.
yeah, procedural generation basically.
Mm.
Um,
But the next part is because the main character is such a king at being a goblin. Guy basically says, "Oh damn, goblins are king. Better make all goblins king."
yeah, goblins are no longer the small little fuck bullies. They're now
Goblins are
they're
such
now the big.
chads that all goblins, even the goblins that are inside the player area, I would say, are also kings, are also chads.
By the way, this is kind of like absurd to think about because like apparently this game AI that's super intelligent can't think, okay, maybe I should set the low level player areas as an area that's separate from the high level areas, right?
Yeah,
So like it's like they don't really explain that very well, but whatever. Um, so yeah, no, the lawyer guy, he's like, this lawyer argues him down from like $10,000 a month, and we're gonna upgrade your VR pod, and we're gonna make sure you have the best medical care so you don't fucking die, so we don't have a wrongful death lawsuit, all the way to we're gonna give you $250,000. We're gonna upgrade your pod. We're gonna make sure you're taken care of, but we won't fire your friend because you know we're totally gonna do that. So like the order of negotiation makes no sense, but apparently this was his master plan to lure him into a trap of handing him $250,000.
yeah, and then and I'm kind of disappointed because there was genuine tension of like, oh damn, time is like accelerated 12 times. But as that means that I have like enough. My body over there is like still in the VR thing in the gamer goo. So I have about like 12 weeks in game time before I die, which is genuine
Yeah,
tension.
it was a genuine tension, and then they just throw that out the window with, "Oh yeah, we're gonna take care of you."
Oh yeah, we're going to
I
take
was
care
like,
of,
okay,
like on the same day that he basically, or the day after he
yeah,
discovered he has 12 weeks to live. It is. Oh, you know, you're
right,
fine.
yeah. I think at this point we could kind of like just not necessarily have to even really talk about the plot anymore, and more talk about like one of the more consistent problems with this book is like any tension is immediately sapped out of any situation. Any foreboding thing that could potentially happen is immediately diffused so it doesn't interrupt the main character's power fantasy. There's no all problems within his goblin clan are immediately smoothed over. Everybody more or less gets along with one another. Um, because you think normally that, oh, goblins are really fighting and backstabby. He'd probably have to like more or less be like trying to rout Skaven together or something. You know,
Yeah, but
try to
no,
forge them
they're
into
all they're all super dumb.
yeah. They're the least goblin-y goblins ever. You know, nobody's trying to. They mentioned briefly that their society is dictated by physical competition and coming out on top, which is why quite a few of them have scars. But then, like, outside of like a throwaway scene, you never see that. Um, so yeah, all major tensions kind of robbed from the story, and then there's like this other thing where like they explain way too much. Like the main character's friend exists as a information dump. He exists as the exposition. You could just call him exposition, and that would be better than whatever the fuck his name actually was. I can't remember.
I don't know either.
Exposition
He
war.
was like his
Um,
game name was like Mr. Awesome, what 1965.
I think it was Super Wolf something.
Yeah,
My brain wants to default to 69, but I don't think it was Super Wolf 69. um, that's there's no shit posty. There's no shit posty character names in this. That's so disappointing. Um, the biggest shit poster is the AI. Like,
Yeah,
and like, there's no reason that the AI should have this personality, but like, at the same time, you could have easily have justified it with he interacted with characters long enough to like, I don't know, have the shit posting rub off on him or something like that. And yeah, they just anything in the story that is remotely mysterious, about the situation or whatever, is just immediately sucked out because they just explain it like the next page or like the next paragraph sometime. There's this insistence on over explaining things. If any of you've ever played, or Ellie, have you ever played any of the dot hack games?
nope.
All right, so in the first dot hack, when the main character first encounters Aura and the was it the Digital Reaper or whatever it was, he gets logged out of the game after a bunch of bright flashes. His best friend, who introduced him to the game, gets put into a coma, and he gets this bracelet that allows him to more or less absorb the data code of whatever he's I forget the name of it directly, but he can deconstruct and absorb the data of any creature he targets. And throughout the whole thing, there's this whole conspiracy element where the main character is trying to find out what happened to his friend, who was Aura, what is like the mystery behind the world or whatever. And there's this whole corporate conspiracy aspect where like it seems like the admins are directly against you and trying to thwart you because they're covering something up, and you don't have that here. Like, yeah, the corporation in this case is trying to cover everything up, but there's no like, it's too upfront about it.
There's no mystery.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, the last page of the book has missed. Wally, how would you set up the least mysterious mystery line?
I don't know. As like a cliffhanger, just be
Yeah.
like, but then the door opened, or like, I don't know,
Well,
the fog cleared, and this person I thought was dead was there.
Well, in this mystery company thing, right? In the context of shady companies, what would you say as a cliffhanger for shady companies? Shady
Um,
organizations.
they're lying about something involved with the game. I don't know.
What I want, yeah, it's not too easy to guess right off the bat, but phase 2.
Phase 2.
The end of the book is like,
what does phase 2 mean?
how are things proceeding? Things are proceeding as planned. There are minor complications, but it all is within the parameters. Good. Let's now begin phase 2.
Why is the company fucking Nerve?
And of course, they were all sitting on around a big old thingy, and all these guys were sitting on it, but it was set up in such a way that shadows covered all of their faces, so you wouldn't know in this gaming company. I mean, if it's not a gaming company, fine, but in this gaming company, it is important that all these characters' faces were covered in shadows and nobody who could know who each other is.
I imagine that's what like the boardroom is like at like Electronic Arts or something when they're discussing the new Battlefront game.
Yeah,
how are things proceeding with Battlefront 2?
Good. We can proceed with phase 2.
Then a loot box drops on the table.
Damn, only common.
Ugh.
Yeah, so that spoiler, we don't really care about spoilers in this book. About this book. That's how
But Ellie, aren't we gonna read the second novel?
we are. But
Damn it, I was hoping you're gonna say no.
I'm going to read it.
I'm probably gonna read it too. I hate myself.
And so, company is amateurishly evil, uncharacteristically evil, unnecessarily evil. There are the imagined EA, which is now spelled AE because I wrote it that way. Don't blame me, I'm foreign.
Hey, I mean, for you, from what I understand, EA is actually should be evil to you because, as far as I know, they've changed tax laws over in Europe so they could get a free tax haven in some companies.
I haven't heard about it. I should look into it.
I'll have to send you a video that Super Bunny Hop did about tax havens and game companies. And yeah, no lie, I forget what company or country it was. I don't think it was the Netherlands, but I think it was somewhere in that region. They actively and successfully lobbied the local government there to give free or give a bunch of tax exemptions so they can move their shell headquarters there, even though most of their assets were based in the US, so they could pay less, a few million less in taxes.
Well, I believe I know that construct the tax construction. It's not the best, no. But let's continue. Let's focus on this. Is EA, what EA does is real evil. What this company Phase 2 is ridiculously fictional
It's
evil.
Lex Luthor type of evil. Yeah, it's Lex Luthor type of evil.
But what we're talking about, evil character. Vic is an AI. VI, well, it's also a AI. Vic is free from his thing, and what does Vic want? He's free. He isn't in an NPC which dictates his personality and actions now. Because how it works is that if you're a normal NPCs are just based on logic and routines, lines of code, maybe 5, I don't know. In the game world, normal NPCs would be based on like 5 lines of code. Well, if you are, characters who can basically talk back are manned by virtual intelligences to give them more lifelike responses. That's basically the distinction. You got players, which are empty avatars with a human mind in them. You got NPCs, which are basically routines of code, 5 lines of code, and you have NPCs that can talk back. And those are manned with virtual intelligences, kind of like how a human player inhabits a avatar. And what does our favorite character wants to do? Because our main character's goal is vague, and he wants to kill the lieutenant guy, but that goal goes away as soon he looks down at his goblin body or something. But Vic.
Yeah. So with Vic, when he's free, again, we mentioned that Vic has daddy issues, right?
Yeah.
So Vic is free, and the reason he wants the main character to kill all of these other people that
Well, we didn't mention that he wants to kill other people, I think.
Well, I thought we mentioned that he wanted the main character to like kill certain
Oh,
NPCs.
yeah, maybe that part, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You know, the reason he wants the main character to kill these NPCs is because there's also virtual intelligences in them, and he wants to also, I guess, free them. Would you say?
Yeah, he wants to free the virtual intelligence inside these
Yeah. So
these NPC bodies.
yeah, because I mean, nobody should have to go through an existence in which they are killed over and over again. By the way, this is suggested to the main character in the most ham-fisted way possible. Main character is like, but this is a game, and the guy's like, I mean, to us it isn't. And then later on, he's like, no, this is still a game. These aren't people. And he's like, dude, I literally have told you that we're technically sapient. So Vic is the one with like the only one with kind of relatable character motivations because what he wants is understandable. He wants to overthrow the whole AI system, so him and his buddies don't have to constantly get fucking yeeted by people looking for XP.
Yeah, every NPC that is slightly intelligent is a VI, and being killed by a player then you get to be yourself for a second, and then you're chosen to be a worm on the ground or whatever. You get to be chosen to be a bird in the sky, or you get to be chosen to be a thief in the streets, and you're evil and you have to act out evil, and there's no other option to be evil, even if you're this is this is a little bit odd where these virtual intelligence have all their unique personalities. They're created with their own independent and sapient personality, but their only purpose in life is to be other people. So I don't know why they even have a personality. Whatever. Why are they not just empty AIs that are just plugged in, and they read the bio and they become the bio, and then they're just processors that you plug in a computer. Processors aren't sapient. But whatever. In this story, they have their own thoughts and feelings and such. So they don't want to be other people. They want to be themselves, and they want to kill Guy because he's such a great guy. Do you love the puns, Lottie?
Yeah, I love the puns.
Such confidence in your voice.
Wow, this game sure makes me want to reset my life. Sorry, book. Sorry. This book makes me want to reset my life.
Oh, you said show? Yeah, it's a force of habit.
No, I said game on accident. Whatever.
Yeah, so Guy, not Guy, Guy is whatever. Vic has a goal of freeing some virtual intelligence from their NPC's body to eventually overthrow the big AI that controls the game and controls their life and death in forever and ever and ever, again and again. Which is
Yeah.
a good goal to have.
Granted, after the fact, he doesn't think about, okay, we do this, now what, But yeah, I guess one thing at a time.
Well, I mean, it has a little bit more explanation of later when the big twist is revealed. Because I should say we both realized this halfway through the book, and this detail is revealed like in the final chapter or 2 or 3. In the final 3 chapters, you learn that Vic wants to kill Guy, but it's already pretty clear from like halfway through the book that is what Vic wants to do.
Yeah, that's pretty obvious. Uh,
But yeah,
so we have anything else to talk about outside of that?
well, I could share some tales from beyond, like the where did you leave again? Where did you left off?
Oh yeah, when he was in the middle of building the Goblin Village.
Uh, was there anything about the Dark Cave?
Yes, the whole prophecy with the Dark Cave.
All
Yeah,
right.
which
Did you have a talk with God, with the Goblin God AI?
Gorma whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and he knows Vic on a first name basis.
The thing is that in the in the final chapters where it's revealed, Vic says that is when you're seeded into an NPC, you can't act out of it. It's impossible. Once you are seeded into
Yeah,
that being, you can't act out of you can't act your original personality out when you're seeded into it. But
but hey, the exception that's not mentioned is that if you're like a tier 9 like NPC god or something.
well, that exception is never stated. So I'm let
Until it's brought up. Until it's brought up and he's talking about it with the goblin, god.
Yeah, did he say that God NPCs are exempt from that?
I recall that, like, because they're at the cemetery, and they're praying, and he directly says that he knows him, like, they mention to each other by name. Hey dude. He's like, hey, what the fuck's up?
Yeah, but
What page was that?
the thing is my problem is that on the one hand you're being told that VIs are stuck and can't act out of their NPC prison. On the other hand, you have the NPC god who's talking, which can break out of his character. So which one I'm supposed to believe?
It's whatever the author needs at the moment.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Whenever the author wants to do one thing, the thing happens. Another example, you have a grenade, which is described in the stat screens, of course, lots of stat screens in this book, by exploding on contact. What happens when it gets used? The first use,
It's a delay.
it falls to the ground, takes like 5 seconds, and then it explodes, which completely goes against what was stated in the stat screens, which can't lie. When Vic demands in the lawyer scene, the shady lawyer, that he has to get human players to play with him, with the goblin self him. When the human players arrive, he immediately doubts them, suspects them, mistrusts the human players, keeps them in the dark. So
Which you wouldn't really want in this situation.
So why ask for human players if the moment they come, you immediately doubt and mistrust and will the vow to keep secrets from them.
Yeah, you might as well just keep that going on.
Also, they're twins. I mean, that's why they both have some the high brain power, big brain energy, and they're also, like I said, they're both super smart and can do algebraic calculus, etc. And I'm guessing it's kind of interesting how the human players are trying to figure out if the main character is an NPC or a player, but I don't I don't see them being really important for because they're I don't know, I'm just having issues with them because they don't necessarily add anything to the story. The story in its essence is about the main character playing as a goblin until he's not longer stuck in the game, which we didn't mention is when he becomes a level 5 boss by getting stronger. Basically, he needs to get strong enough until he can log out.
Yeah, he needs to get strong enough because that puts him on this priority list where, for some reason, these specific NPCs, but no other ones, can be accessed by the game moderators and then logged out. The design document of this game must be the most convoluted mess known to man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so he needs to get stronger, but I don't see a place. These twins, I don't see a place for them in that story, unfortunately. Maybe later, but how haplessly everything is. He goes into the dark cave in the village. He meets the dark god. He becomes a follower of the dark god. He gains dark god powers. There are a couple of stupid "oh, does he do it, doesn't he do it" twists, which whatever. Then he says at some point he says, "Well, fuck it. The NPCs are real." And then there's a I would call it cringe-worthy place where he says where he overly embraces the fact that he believes that it's real to the point where when the other players mention, "Well, I'm going to log out." Log out? What does that mean? I need to do this now. No time for this stupid talk about logging out. What does it mean? I don't know. Fuck it. I need to go now. Because romantic interest is kidnapped.
The little goblin NPC with no personality is kidnapped. I must jeopardize everything.
Yeah, and I'm very serious that she has no personality whatsoever. What you
Yeah.
We described it as female, and there is no.
That's really it. That is really it. It's not even like, oh, she's stereotyped or anything. It's like, no, it's just like her existence is just this character is a girl.
I am drawing the extent of her character. It's the good old One Piece character
Ah, the boob.
guide.
But like, she doesn't really have boobs because like she's like Midna's size.
Oh, don't worry.
Huh. Oh, okay, so I see that changes. All right, so he did actually get that far in Twilight Princess.
Switching your allegiance to the Dark God and making her more important gave them a body upgrade. Some mold more vulpous than others, more voluminous. Which, of course, yeah, the good old quality of the story.
Big F's in chat for the short stack fans.
Yep, short stacks. They become. Can you control F in that book, Lolly?
Well, let's see. I do not think I can.
Damn.
Oh,
Damn, because.
if you were to tell me page number, well, you probably don't know that.
No, audiobook. At one point I begged you to read something like the start of whatever chapter. Oh, chapter 22. I want to give your honest. Try to reading it out. Chapter 22. The first few lines.
Oh, sorry, 22, not 20.
Maybe it's 20. The chapters are a little bit off, but.
See, 22. Okay. Boy. I woke up late in the afternoon, cuddled close to Tika. After our third sleepover, I was starting to feel more natural, despite her occasional tendency to lick my face. Oh no.
Lolly, continue. We need to hear this masterpiece.
Eyes still closed, Tika felt me stirring and softly caressed my cheek. I felt a sudden rush of affection towards her. I shook my head, trying to reorient myself. I can't fall for an NPC. She's not real. Be a part. That's never stopped quite a bit of a few people, so get over yourself.
Yeah.
But a part of me simply refused this reasoning.
See this deep character transformation.
This character with the body proportions of a toddler gained boobs. I'm suddenly infatuated. Oh god.
No, Lolly, read.
Why you can't me continue to read this? This is cringe, my dude. Okay. The shame I felt for crushing Beck's willpower when I dominated him, or my aversion to sacrificing the goblin babies, both could be argued to be the same type of misplaced emotions towards mirror NPCs, and yet I felt those keenly. Then it was so unreasonable. Was it so unreasonable to have affections towards an NPC? I had to wonder, especially when they liked to snuggle. I smiled despite myself, gazing at Tika's lithe body with admiration. Then the image of naked Gooba flashed in my mind for a split second, ruining the moment.
Oh no.
Oh, and poor Vic is having to fucking watch this shit. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, thing is, Vic can read this main character's mind all the time, which is very inconsistent, where sometimes the main character thinks outright treasonous thoughts and says, I need to teach Vic a lesson in humility later. Which Vic hears him say.
Or like he hears something that clearly sounds like third person narration rather than, first person narration.
But at points he says, I need to make sure Vic is basically less of a bitch to me and listen to what I say and make sure he does what I say. Which is communicated clearly as him thinking to himself. The thing is that Vic can hear him thinking to himself, which kind of justifies Vic's shitty attitude towards the main character. But why doesn't the main character consider thinking Vic is a bitch? He should just listen to me and do what I want. Why doesn't he consider the fact that he's being listened to in his own thoughts? That he's being mind read all the time.
You think? I think the author was trying to go for like kind of like a buddy back and forth. They're taking jabs at each other, which is fine, but wish they'd go through with it a bit more.
Yeah, because now in the first book, Vic gets a goblin-like body, a purple goblin body. That's why I'm drawing purple. Then he gets turned into a cloak, and then like a couple of pages later, it's immediately described as Vic's favorite thing position, which when I read it, I thought, damn, Vic is immediately downgraded into a piece of cloth.
Yeah.
Fortunately, Vic becomes a human or human goblinoid at some point, but to have Vic become a goblin thing only to immediately be stated that he likes to be being a cloak better. I don't have it doesn't give me a great feeling that the author knew what he wants Vic to be, which is a problem with the entire setting, character, book, story of this whole thing. What is Guy's extent? What is the extent of Guy's power? How much personality does a VI have? How does this game mechanics work? Can I stab a guy in the artery and will he bleed to death, or do I need to stab him in the foot until his hit points reach 0? Is
Yeah, I
there
remember once.
is there natural breeding, or is there spawning of, you know, gather 10 food, press a button, and the goblin appears? Because there's both.
Yeah, and like there's never really like anything that's necessarily an issue. It's all there just to convenience the player and require them to spend an extra few pages going off and like hunting some rabbits or something. Mind you, this is the most tedious part of the book for me.
And
Is that whole segment with the Goblin Village?
I'm telling you that part is the most consistent and therefore the least grading part.
It's the most consistent, but like everything that's going on is so repetitive and like not contributing to the story that you can actually start skimming parts of it, picking out kind of like one or two bits of information in the paragraph, and you can still see roughly what's going on, and even go as far as to like see being able to like understand what type of progress is being made. By the way, that was something that really fucking annoyed me, is that he constantly had to put out what type of stats they had. Just like, and I can only really see it as padding out the story, because you can ignore that and still have a pretty decent idea of what's going on. Like all the stats, all of the like damage calculations and stuff, largely there are a few instances where it's used well, but largely it just feels like filler, or it just feels like unnecessary detail that could have been represented in a different way. I think if the book had stick towards a more simulationist aspect, that would make it seem less gamey, but that would have also had made a better story. At the very least, it would make the presentation less cluttered.
Yeah, what to give constructive criticism to a book that came out like in 2014, which has basically released his fourth novel like a week ago. This book could have used just a clear decision on what it wants to be, because it's both. On every aspect of the book, it's both. The main character is vindictive, angry, spiteful, arrogant, etc. But he's also kind and caring and compassionate and thoughtful and resourceful and smart and intelligent and all that stuff. But then he reverts to, after noting to himself, I'm sending this message to my friend who lives in the real-time world. It will take several hours before I hear back from him. Oh, look, lawyer guy. How's it going? Oh, damn, I got screwed. Hey, friend. Hey, bro. Good bro. Hey, bro. Oh, bro, I received your message like a half an hour ago. What? But I sent that message like 2 days ago. How could this time discrepancy thing could ever be that explained? I didn't explicitly mention the time delay thing when I sent the message to myself. I don't know how this could ever happen. Stuff like
Yeah,
that. He's relaxing in the lake because it doesn't feel like doing anything for that day. And the next day he says, nobody shall be idle in my kingdom.
yeah,
And a month later in the story, he goes, "Oh damn! I forgot that I told them to cut down wood, and I didn't bother to think of them since then."
they're just sitting there cutting down wood for a damn month.
Yeah, and he forgot about them, and then oh damn! Nobody shall be idle in my kingdom except me, because I forget stuff and let
Even though
units.
he's given all of this information about what's happening in his village because of Vic, he's like the Sim City advisor.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, you read Slimy Sekai. How would you compare the whole building and society creation in that to this?
I didn't read Slime Isekai, but let's just take this opportunity to list the influences from which this takes.
All
So
right.
there's Sword Art Online, trapped in a video game thing. There is Remonster, where the main character in Remonster gets reincarnated as a goblin. So it's proper isekai. And he has a special ability, etc. And he's building out his village, and he becomes basically a god because it's a super power fantasy. He becomes a super powerful goblin and can kill almost anything with one swing. And he becomes a mercenary of some kind, etc. So that's the goblin part and the leader. Then there is Slime for the more explicit city building, civilization thing, and the trading with other nations. While in Life Reset, there isn't as much trading with other nations. There is a gnome. I believe it was a gnome or a kobold. I believe it was a gnome. A gnome that shows up and basically says, "Yeah, I can trade with you if there's no more hobgoblins." And then hobgoblins are gone, and then the guy goes, "Hey, I can trade with him now. Big money to be made." So yeah, there is that. Oh, and there is Spider. Is it Kumo Desuga Naniga? Nanika, which is more of the stats of +1 in skill of thread manipulation because she's a spider and manipulates her spider threads, or +2 poison fangs because she's a spider with poison fangs, +2 magic because she can use magic, etc. And all those fancy skill names which she levels up. So those are what I consider the elements of the borrowed elements of Reset Life.
Well,
And
this was published in 2014, so all these things you mentioned, slime, spider, isekai, these are all things that were published like around that time.
well, they're known. I believe I'm pretty sure that all of those they had some English translations at the time in 2014. Either web novel, the web novels, or a part of the manga, or just anime in the case of Sword Art Online. Because these are isekai is old, not old, like 10 years old by now. So I'm not surprised that those big influences are showing up in other works, in Western works. And let me close this off by saying I kind of pity LitRPG, the LitRPG genre, because it has no path to the mainstream. In Japan, there you have Shosetsu, which has big connection to the mainstream book, to the mainstream light novel publishers. So if you're popular on Shosetsu, you're guaranteed to a light novel adaptation, and you're on a good path to manga adaptations and anime adaptation and merchandise and name recognition and all that stuff. In the lit RPG space, there's no Western, American, British, French publisher that will pick you up. It's kind of condemned to its Amazon published space.
Yeah. At the same time, like, I kind of think it's better off like that, because from what we saw when we were looking into this, they have their own forums, their own Discord, their own community thing, and it's really tight knit, and it's supported by people who legitimately like these works and are willing to support it, and I kind of dig that type of atmosphere, if you know what I mean.
The underground scenes.
Yeah, just the small circles and stuff like that. I'm glad that places like that still exist.
Yeah, and you come across it. Oh, what's this? Oh, damn, it has a little bit of history. Oh, god damn, it's all terrible. But oh, damn, it's very interesting. Well, it's not fair. We both read this one book.
Yeah.
Which is in my little bit of research, it is one of the cornerstones of the genre. One of the more popular. You're kind of like, people know this book.
Yeah, it's like the one you're expected to read at some point.
Or know what it did or does.
Alright. So a bit of a trailblazer.
Yeah. And there is, like I mentioned offhand before, there is a publisher in Russia that publishes some lit RPG books. And they have their lit RPG competition. I assume if you win the competition, you get published. Your lit RPG book gets published. But that's only Russia. And Russia is a big country, but not big population.
Yeah. So we don't really know what the quality of that is like because of the language gap.
And of course, one publishing one publisher in Russia doesn't mean that it's still popular in the
Yeah,
Western world.
yeah, but having a publisher in this case probably does help with like quality because they have access to like editors and stuff like that.
Which this book desperately needs, because just reading it, all these inconsistencies.
It
Just,
feels like a first draft in a lot of ways.
I mean, the book was edited by somebody. It says on the cover, edited by. But just pick out these errors of the grenade that is detonating on impact, but in practice it only detonates after like a couple seconds. But yeah, this is the end of our impromptu book club like discussion about this new genre that we discovered and want to share with the world. And Lolly, it's kind of a shame you stopped reading where you were, because I'm pretty sure that somewhere further along, the main character refers to her ebony goddess or something,
Huh.
with rounded features.
Oh no. Stop fucking goblins, please.
uh, don't worry, it's all tastefully fades blackouts. Or fades to blacks, I should say.
No, it
Whoosh.
just it kind of zooms out, and you have the same effect he describes with the breeder house, where you just hear a bunch of really awkward squealing, and then the goblin pops out.
Well, there's more sensual, like you can feel the jazz music and the fade out.